double booked.
Episode number 8.
We knew what one it was this time.
Yeah, we remembered.
Just an FYI, I don't know why, but this morning I can't talk. Like, words just keep coming out and I can't fully... I was on the phone to a client at 8 a.m. this morning earlier. I'm sure you know which one.
Yeah.
And I just kept on going, I couldn't talk.
But that's normally what happens. This is normal, Jess. Do you know, I've just realised as well.
You're a bit...
I'm a bit far forward. I'm just going to move back a little bit, just so I don't feel like I'm looking backwards at you.
Get comfy.
Yeah.
We're here with lovely Jacob from Off Limits today.
Lovely Jacob. That's going to be officially your
Thank you.
Your
Lovely
name
Jacob.
going forward. You need to change it on your passport, LinkedIn. Lovely Jacob.
Depot.
Yeah.
Lovely
It'll be
Jacob.
double-barrelled, obviously.
Yeah.
Lovely Jacob.
Nice.
From Off Limits, which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
A conference enhancement company, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, very much so.
Tell us a bit about Off Limits.
So we are officially a team build company. However, I'm trying to change the vocabulary to be a bit more about event enhancements. I think people get the shivers when they hear team build these days, and still it's not just about building rafts or building shelters or throwing axes, and don't get me wrong, we can still do that, but changing the label on the bottle to event enhancements just gives us a bit more scope as to where we can insert those different sections throughout the event. It does make it sound a bit sexy. It sounds a bit lovely.
It does, but it also adds a level of professionalism to it. Yeah. So it's not just team build, like you say, raft building, whatever it might be. It's something that enhances an event or a communications platform, and there's so many old school team builds out there, isn't there? And in fact, I think I've told you about this when I did the world record team build.
This is the one story Ian tells. Is he shaking a head? That
shaking your head about
everyone.
But it's because it's funny.
Go on, give us the good.
So we were at Haythrop Park, and we got this. It was a recruitment firm that we got in. So we got like 200 recruiters in a marquee on the lawns out the back, and they wanted to do a world record attempt. They wanted it to be like a proper energising thing. So you had to bounce ping pong balls into a bucket, and you had to get as many as you could in 2 minutes, whatever it was. So you can imagine 200 recruiters in essentially a glorified tent, shouting and screaming and geeing each other on, all competitive. So, and we got it on the last one, the last attempt. You're only allowed 3 attempts, and that's it. And then we got it on the last one. Everyone's cheering and shouting, high-fiving and hugging and everything else. And we walked, that was the end of the day. We walked out so everyone could go and get ready. And there was a group of 15 people on the floor, on the lawns, with like garden cane and twine, making little teepees or bivouacs. And that was their team build activity. And you could just see them going like, I want the earth to swallow me up. I don't want to be, why are we, it's like forced fun. Why are we doing this? And they're in there having the time of their life.
I think that's it. I think it's the forced fun element, and that's why if you see team build on your agenda, some people, if they're not into that, they're not going to be into that. So then that can set the tone for the rest of the day. Whereas if we're doing an icebreaker at the start of the day that actually gets the energy up and gets people going, it then creates that environment that people want to be there and they feel appreciated and they feel like they are happy to be part of that day, no matter what the afternoon is then going to bring.
So would you encourage people to have an icebreaker, a conference enhancement, etc. at an event?
We've found that the icebreakers, again, you mention icebreaker and people think, oh, what's this going to be? But it's then us and the team being able to describe it, and past experiences of doing a human bingo for 200 people that might have all been working remotely, or it's new teams, and they come in and they do something where it might be, you've got 20 different questions, and it could be find someone who's got 2 dogs. You speak to someone who's got 2 dogs that you never spoke to before, but then you find them at lunch to find out a bit more about the dogs, or it's Alan who's been married for 10 years and you find out where they got married. And again, it just creates a bit more of an atmosphere for the rest of the day for people to go on to and enjoy it, rather than getting in, having driven 2 to 3 hours or wherever it might have been, and you get that facts and figures overload. It just creates something a bit more exciting.
Engages them to communicate. Yeah. That's the key thing. Yeah. They are forced to a certain extent to go and communicate with people, especially those people who may not, I'm going to be a bit stereotypical here, typecasting, but say somebody who works in finance or IT who maybe isn't necessarily as much of an extrovert as somebody from sales is potentially. And yet they're having to go out and ask questions to people who they don't know, and it puts them out of their comfort zone. But actually, it's not always a bad thing, is it, to do that and get people...
I absolutely love team. I mean, I'm a bit biased because I did used to work for a team building company pre-COVID, and I'm sure it's all changed since pre-COVID. But I think it's such a great idea to have an event, and we do. I think 90% of our clients do them.
In some way, shape or form, whether it's an energizer, whether it's, like you say, an icebreaker, or it's an actual dedicated 2 or 3 hours team build.
And I think that's where the event enhancement element comes into it, because there's so many different tick boxes that it could be. Obviously, the icebreakers or the energizers, then going on more so for the afternoon activities, and then following on to evening things like quizzes or game shows or something. It's all about, for us, making the clients feel valued, because then they know that their bosses and the directors and CEOs are thinking about them and how it's going to benefit their future within the business.
Absolutely.
And that's only going to add to the productivity as well.
Oh,
absolutely.
Massively.
But if you've got some of your C-suite team who are, I don't know, getting down and dirty and doing whatever task it is with somebody from admin or an exec, it's everybody working together, and it shows that actually in those scenarios, doesn't matter who you are, everybody has a valuable point to make or involvement.
Yeah.
It's
also,
really
if you think about it, say you've got a full day conference, right, and you are only an admin or a sales exec or something like that, the thought of, on a really hot day like today, to be inside 9 till 5, listening to your directors on a stage, it's literally death by PowerPoint most of the time.
Can be. Yeah, it can be.
It breaks it up. It creates a bit of an excitement, and maybe it's because the three of us are salespeople and we have that personality, and we like a bit of fun. I think it just really breaks up a day, and it brings the fun into a conference instead of just you can just get boring arse.
We can be professional and have fun at the same time, which we talk about a lot, don't we?
That
in
is
the
us
office,
to
in
a
regards
T.
to, you don't have to be a stiff neck and professional all the time. You can have a bit of a laugh with it. And actually, you spend the majority of your life at work.
Yeah.
So you need to do something that you love and that you're passionate about, and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
What's the biggest highlight that you've had so far at Off Limits?
I've done some big number events. So from previous backgrounds of doing some bigger things, tackling the higher number events was one thing that I was brought in to do. We did an event for 600 at the Brighton Dome. So we had a clap happy at the start of the day. They came in.
Clap happy?
It's a crescendo of claps. So there's, in top of the auditorium, was split into 3 different sections, and it's just one very enthusiastic person on the stage getting one section to do a 3 clap routine, the next section then do a 4 clap routine, and then the next 5. But then all together it works. And actually you can see, I was sat at the front filming, so you see some people who are sat there giving it a small clap, other people giving it big licks. And it's
me with a bare pulse like this.
And I love how you both like this as well.
Yeah.
I
proper old school church vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, lady I used to work with, Polly, I showed her once how you can get people to clap. So if you're at dinner or something like that, I'm sort of showing secrets now. People will pick up on this next time I'm at a dinner. But you clap enthusiastically, and people will start clapping with you. But you've got to own it. You've got to not back down and clap until other people actually start clapping. Sounds like a bit of a dick thing to say, but it's funny. It makes me laugh.
It's like the hacker. The hacker's similar to that. But go on, sorry, we interrupted you.
So we did that at the start of the day. That was a complete surprise for them. They were all just sat down, had the housekeeping rules, and then our guy just burst onto the stage. Again, it's about the introverts and the extroverts and getting everybody involved. And by the end of it, the people that weren't clapping, but from where he is in the stage, he can still pinpoint people to be like, oh, come on, I can see that you're not giving it. And actually, it just puts a bit of a smile on the face, and people saying, oh, turn to the person next to you and look them in the eye while actually clapping. And so we did that. They had the rest of the day. They had a lunch, and within that lunch, then we turned the lower space around the ground floor space into a lockbox for 600 people. So 60 teams of 10 doing a challenge in a very small space. But it just worked really well, and it was a bit of I sold it, and then operations had to say yes. But that's
the beauty of sales and ops.
That's how we work. And it's now that's happened, and we've got video evidence of it. We roll that out now to other people who are looking for those larger number of events, whereas previously it wasn't particularly a thing that we did.
But it's also good because it connects sales and ops together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So ops can then get the confidence to do it again next time.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that's
sometimes you have to push them out of their comfort zone. Yeah. They won't want to hear that. But that's.
I'm sure they do, but don't like me in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think any operation. I remember when I used to work at Adventurous. My God, did ops used to shout at us at times. Yeah, what have you sold this in for? You'll be fine. You'll do it. You can do it.
It's not a problem. I believe in you.
I mean, we sometimes do it now, but kick ourselves in the foot.
So 600, is that sort of the biggest that you've done
I've got an
in your
event,
career?
So 1st of July, I've got an event that's coming up for 2,000. That's more informal activities, a bit more family fun day style, but it's all things that we can do. We just develop our classic team build elements structured into something a bit more informal. So that works quite nicely. But now, the 500-600, we're quite comfortable in taking those numbers and saying that we can do it. With the It's a Knockout, we can do that for kind of up to 700 people.
Now, with the It's a Knockout, I've heard that it's the original It's a Knockout, which is pretty cool.
The licensed original BBC It's a Knockout. The one and only.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So we've got the Giants costumes, we've got the budgies, we've got all of the costumes.
Way.
Yeah, it's the OG.
I didn't realise that. I thought it was I didn't realise it was the one from
fully licensed product to
That's
ourselves.
I think that's really quite cool.
Crazy. Check you out with a little bit of knowledge.
I know.
Yeah, it's good.
Did my research.
Well done. So let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into this industry? How did you get into events and
where do I begin? So whenever I've been in a job role, I've always ended up then being organising the conferences or organising the trade shows, but I've actually always been in sales. My first sales role was for an electric vehicle company. We used to manufacture the first and only road legal English version of a Segway. It was a security patrol vehicle, but it was completely MOT tested, so it was road legal. That was just a little factory in Leicester by a bloke. I knew it was a friend's dad, and he was like, "Come and work for me, sell stuff." And then again, I just did the trade shows, and then from there, I went on to an insurance company. So I was just doing insurance calls, but again, doing the trade shows. Did a little bit of gallivanting around the world, and then came back and joined Lick Me I'm Delicious. So doing...
No, you worked for Lick Me?
Yeah.
As if?
so it's very cool.
So that was Charlie and Reese, who are now still head of the game, and then me. So I was the third official employee, and we kind of took that from its smaller stages to growing it a bit more, and I was a bit more... Although it was events and we were out on the events, it was creating the machines, and it was actually then a bit more BDM, because I would speak to the clients, then go and meet the clients and just develop those relationships. That was Oxford based, so I was there for nearly 3 years.
But that was fun.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really great. Just innovative, and being able to have that creative flair. We just had a wall of desired creations that we would try and make, and 1 month we'd just be like, right, let's try and figure out how that
stuff
works.
like that starts in regards to everyone come up with some ideas, and then you work out afterwards, is it deliverable, how you deliver it, and also is it viable, as in if we do it, is it cost effective?
The amount of jelly babies that we went through was unbelievable. It was fun.
I can imagine.
So then from there, our stand, Lick Me I'm Delicious' stand, always used to back onto Eventologist stand at Confex or the meeting show or wherever it was. So I got to know Sit through that, just through conversational. And when I was moving back from Oxford to Leicester, and I just got in touch with Sit and said, do you know anyone? And he said, actually, I do, yeah, and it's me.
It's me, yeah.
So I had an interview with him. Although the interview was him, I own a natural burial ground as well. Side note, we can go into that if you wish.
I'm really sorry. You own a natural burial ground?
Yes.
What, as in where you bury bodies?
Yeah. So instead of having a headstone, you plant the tree. Yeah. So I've got 12 acres of land.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, where you put ashes or bodies in.
That's really interesting.
And then
it's interesting.
Not for the podcast, though. I'm not talking about dead bodies on the podcast.
Me and a friend of mine, since pandemic is when we first started talking about it during lockdown, we're talking about taking on some woodland and rewilding, basically, but making it community woodland so people can go to it.
Amazing.
But one of the ways to make it sustainable as a not-for-profit would be offer people the chance to put plaques up, plant trees in memory of people and stuff like that, and have it as a natural burial ground.
Back to Eventologist.
Sorry.
It is interesting, but it freaks me out as well.
Sit came to a field that I own, and it was the winter. So I was supposed to be meeting him for a drink and just an informal chat. I'd got a car stuck. Well, a few cars had got stuck on this field. Sit rocks up in his Defender, and then also gets stuck as well.
No.
Yep. So I had probably an hour or two of trying to.
In the field of dead bodies?
This was the parking field.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so we weren't churning up any.
Okay, that's all right.
So we had a couple of hours of trying to negotiate getting Sit's Defender off the field and also having an interview. And I think it was kind of at that point that he saw how I would handle these kind of challenging situations. Yeah, so it was perfect. So then did that for 3 years, and then was fortunate enough to have a small child, and just couldn't keep
better
up
than
with
having
it.
a big child.
Yes,
mate.
yes. Well, he is now. He is now big. He is now monstrous. However, I couldn't keep up with the demands of the events and still have a successful family life as well.
Yeah.
So then spoke to Martin, and here we are. But I've always ended up. My drive, as is with anyone in sales and events, is to see a happy client and a great end product. So it's about the trust, it's about the promises, it's about upholding those promises and making sure that you deliver above and beyond what you've promised.
I get so high on events. Just to my clients, I don't take drugs on events.
Not like she's not there. She's not there blazing out the backdrop.
Smoking a joint.
So
Where's she gone?
She's
getting high.
She's just getting high at the event. You get a high.
I've loved watching our clients so happy, and we were at Carding. I was at Carding Park with a client on Monday. And I had a little one-to-one. I rang you afterwards tonight because it touched my heart, like how she was describing us and why she was working with us. And it's so amazing when you have that feedback from clients and they're like, we wouldn't trust anyone else. Yeah. And the reason why they worked with us is because we were just open, honest. We said exactly in the pitch, didn't we? Don't go for this option because of X, Y, Z. Go for this option, you need to do this, and we're going to be honest and open with you.
Even on the venue stuff, wasn't it? There was one venue which was considerably more cost effective than anything else. And there was no reason why we wouldn't promote that to them and say we couldn't upsell to go to somewhere else because actually this one property delivers what they wanted, what they needed it to. It would work really well.
I think there has to be that level of transparency as well, doesn't there? It's just honesty and transparency.
Absolutely,
just helps with that trust. Like you say, she said that she wouldn't trust anyone to go anywhere else. That's what we're all trying to get within our roles and within.
Do you have that with agencies and venues?
I would say more so with end clients actually. We do so with venues and with agents, but obviously agents use, there has to be a level of shopping around, whereas for me, that end client is then who I build most of that rapport with as a confirmed part of business. I've got emails in my inbox now from clients who've had events this year already saying, right, thinking about doing next year, want to come in. And again, they're for the larger numbers, 200 or 300 people that then is, yes, the feedback emails or calls are fantastic, but actually someone coming back and you seeing proof that they want to come back and work with you directly yourself is the big win.
Or even better, they're coming to use you as a bit of a sounding board in that initial stage to say, look, we're thinking about doing this. A, is it something you can do?
Yeah.
B, does it work and is it successful? What do you recommend? That building that relationship and trust is being a trusted partner, isn't it? And not being
that's a
expert
nice
for
way.
high.
Trusted partner.
Yeah.
I mean, we touched on it earlier about being preferred partners. I had a meeting with someone, I'm not going to say who, and they asked to be a preferred partner of VBX, and I said no. We don't do that. That is one thing we do not do is work with preferred partners. We don't have preferred partners. We work with the people that are right for our clients. We don't, just work with you just because we like you on that day or just because, or any other reason.
Yeah, we won't promote a particular venue or supplier partner because they give us an enhanced commission or whatever it might be.
Production suppliers, I think we've got about 6 on the books. We've got more.
But you have to, it's the same as, from an agent's perspective, it's the same as when we come to people like Off Limits for team build, because we're like, well, what happens if we call you and actually you're at capacity and you can't do it, So that's
become such a big factor recently as well, actually. And for us, it's not the capacity of the equipment and what we have; it's the staff. Yeah. It's actually having the people. But that's a whole different podcast.
Let's not be out.
That is something that just keeps touching in every podcast we've done is staff. We did it with Laura, didn't we? We spoke about staff to Laura.
Staffing levels. We did an episode about recruitment and recruiting the right people, the investment you have to make into them and so on and so forth, getting people back into the sector after, a lot of people being let go during the pandemic. It's tough, but finding the right people who are going to be with you for a long time is also, difficult, which is why these two aren't allowed to go anywhere.
Except holidays.
Except holidays, but even after the last 2 weeks, you're not allowed to have holidays for a bit either, because they've just been away for 2 weeks, both at the same time, which was not good planning on our part.
No, really bad.
But anyway, moving on. We're not bitter about it. Actually, I'm not bitter about it because me and you've got better tans than they have, and they've been abroad. So, anyway, moving away from the petulance.
I think for us as well, what's interesting, what we've not had on the podcast before, which is why we've asked you, we were speaking to the girls about it the other week, is for me, I've done it because I've worked for a team building company, but for a team building company, you guys are really the only people, other than a client, that can deal with an agency and a venue, and that kind of deals with all aspects.
Direct clients,
and direct clients. Team building agencies are the only ones that deal with every single part of the industry, because it touches everything in that sense. So with yourself, I was always told you've got to put on different hats.
Yeah.
And you have got to put on different hats, because I guess the way you sell Off Limits to an agency is different to how you sell it to a hotel. Yeah. Or is it the same?
There's obviously similar elements to it. However, it is a different tact. For agencies, dependent on how they work, obviously we can be almost an extension of their team to then still be Off Limits delivering the product for them, again with that complete transparency. It also then limits the requirement for steps of communication and who said what. But again, we can work that way. Whereas with a venue, it's a bit more of we are an extension of their team, because they just put us straight in contact. We can be there for site visits when a client mentions team build. They can introduce us straight away, and we just, again, it's more of that soundboard to be like, okay, what are you thinking of? And for us as a sales team, and obviously previously with eventologists, a lot of it was down to what are you trying to achieve? What is your end goal?
Yeah.
And we'll work backwards from there. We touched on it earlier. However, I think then for me and the sales team is what I've tried to bring into Off Limits is asking more, what do you want to do for your event? What is your team build going to be? What activity or what time frames have you got? And we can work it around that. Or are you looking at management styles? Are you looking at communication? Are you looking at certain individuals that you need us to actually, if you say to us, right, actually we need John, Catherine and whoever to be a bit more monitored and give them scores as to how they are, we can do that. Yeah. So it's how we then ask those questions more so to the end user. Really, most people get this. I like to provide the same level of service to all. I'd say that there are some differences in communication. Usually, the end client does need a bit more nurturing. However, we also understand that with an agent, unless we've specifically been told that it's only us, we're sometimes against another couple of people.
Yeah.
But again, that's then just down. Sometimes I see that's not always down to price. It's about how we perform as a sales team, as we spoke earlier about length of responses and actual quality of responses as well. But again, it's all down to that trust. If you trust me and my team that we're going to deliver, we then have to deliver on it.
Absolutely. And you're right, you've got to, I suppose it's on yourselves to understand fully and qualify what it is they're wanting to achieve from doing. It might just be that we want to do a bit of fun. And sometimes that's the face value of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
But other times there is an agenda there, or they want to link it with their content and what their strategy is potentially. But you've got to ask those questions, get under the skin of what they're trying to achieve, and then deliver it for them. Which is question for you, which is not controversial.
I love controversial questions.
It's not controversial, but I'm just intrigued. I bet you have. But have you ever been told by, say, a corporate or an agent potentially, we're booked in at this venue at this destination to do this event, and we want to do this, and it's outside. Can you deliver it for us? And then you've turned up pre-event, most likely, but you've turned up and the space that's outside is not what it's supposed to be.
Millions, hundreds of times.
They've got a field and it's not. It's like a patch of grass.
One of the larger events that we've done before was one of my first big ones, and the venue couldn't accommodate the space, so they'd hired a farmer's field over the road. It was a lovely grassy area, luscious, space, like water, parking. We got there, it was 24th of August last year, it was scorching. Yeah. The ground was scorched. There was horse manure in the field. Like there was cracks in the ground. It was really bad. So we had the team going around with hay covering all the areas of yes.
No, that's what you do.
So then actually from it being a small area, we had to spread out into lots of different places. So yeah, there's been times where it hasn't been, but again, that's we just have to overcome and adapt.
Yeah,
but again, that's not down to me, that's down to operation. I've sold it, you deal with it, thank you.
That wasn't you on the day spreading hay.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
So we're going to have to wrap up a bit now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't. Every time we do this, time flies. I feel like I've got more questions to ask, but never get there.
For another time. For
Ron. So we do have one question.
Okay.
Which we ask everyone, and it's called
Desert Island Digs.
Thank you. I normally said deserted on a desert island dig.
So you're on a desert island,
or something.
And you're allowed to bring one venue, hotel, resort, whatever it is, from anywhere in the world, to be with you on that desert island.
Okay.
What would it be?
Can I add something to it?
What would be your desert island digs?
Can I say you've got desert island digs? You've got to have a venue.
Okay.
But from what you offer from Off Limits, you've got to take one corporate enhancement with you too.
Does it have to be an events venue, or can it just
be... it can be
any venue.
Anything.
Okay.
Anything from anywhere in the world. Just think about what you would want.
Best holiday ever been on, Ecos Oceania in Greece.
Okay.
I've heard of that. Nice.
It was luxury. I thought I was in the wrong place when I sat down and they were like, glass of champagne, Mr. Scroby, before you check in. I was like, when are they coming to take me away? Like, when are they coming to get me out of here? Like, big gold doors as you walked in. My partner was looking at me like, are you sure this is where we booked? I was like, I think so, yeah. That place was phenomenal, really, really nice. Experience, I would say, I'd say the rage buggies. It's not massively something that we get to do as a team build. It's more as a day, like a package that we offer. But I just love going fast.
The adrenaline rush.
Oh, the adrenaline, like, it's so much fun. Before I started with Off Limits, I got a chance to do their experience day, and I took my partner and my sister and her, and a couple of friends. Nothing for me beats controlled speed, but the adrenaline, it was just amazing.
Going in these buggies and you just go.
It's just you in the open road.
Yeah. I've not done the rage
with a few corners.
Yeah, with a few corners.
And
I've not done the rage buggies, but I'd love to do the rage buggies.
There we go. Martin, if you listen to this, we'd like to see the rage buggies, please.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
thanks for
being
coming on. Thank you very much. Yeah,
it's nice to have a different aspect and to hear about team building and why our clients and more clients should have it for events.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. So yeah, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.